This changes everything for the Detroit Pistons after Jalen Duren returns to the starting lineup and shows his dominance. This key detail completely sets the Pistons aside from the rest of the NBA during a season that Cade Cunningham is looking like a league MVP. We're going to break down everything and this key detail that sets them aside from the rest of the NBA, plus so much more on exactly why this team is so dominant compared to anyone else. We're going to break down all this and so much more. Before we get into that, I want to give a huge shout out and sincere thank you. We reached our goal of 1,000 subscribers, but looking right now, 95% of you guys watching this video right at this moment have not hit the sub button, so make sure to go down and hit it. It's completely free, and I'll keep you up to date on everything to do around the Pistons. Now, before we get into this key detail that completely sets the Pistons aside from the rest of the NBA, I do want to dive into the emergence and the return of Jalen Duren within this team. Now, of course, Jalen Duren was suspended alongside Isaiah Stewart, who is still not back, but looking at Jalen Duren and what he brings to this team, I don't think a lot of people around the NBA, of course, Pistons fans do, understand how important he is. 26 points, 13 rebounds, 12 for 20, a plus 22 in just 29 minutes. What Jalen Duren brings game after game is what sets this Pistons team so far ahead in the NBA when looking at starting centers. You have a guy that's not only going to grab you rebounds and protect the rim, but also go out to score on a nightly basis of the plus 22 in 29 minutes. I'm not going to stay on Jalen Duren for too long, but just looking at him returning, and this does tie into why this team has the one detail that sets them aside. But looking at Jalen Duren, I do want to give him his flowers on what he's brought to the court. I mean, looking through offensive rating, in the defensive rating, both in the 80 plus percentile, rebounding, both in the 95 and 96, ranked top 26 in both categories. Jalen Duren has set aside this starting position, and it's a big reason why the Pistons, of course, next to Cade Cunningham, on why they've been so dominant. I mean, looking at Cade quickly as well, we've seen him come out just a few days ago. I want to be on the Olympic team. I think I'm the best American-born player, and after that, we've seen his performance last night going out to put up insane numbers, 13 assists with no turnovers. But the game before that, just hours after this quote came out, he became the first Piston player in franchise history to score 40, 10, and 5 with 5 threes in a game, and joins LeBron James and Allen Iverson as only opposing players with 40 plus points and 10 plus assists at Madison Square Garden. Listen, looking at the Pistons team, everyone watching this is like, Mark, we understand Cade is very good, looking like an MVP, and Jalen Duren is coming in as one of the league's most dominant big men. But what sets aside this team from the rest of the NBA is the depth that is within this organization. Game after game, looking at Paul Reed has been a remarkable addition to the Pistons, and to think he's claimed off waivers. I mean, Paul Reed alone, we've seen him step up big. He's probably the best third string big man in the NBA, but the big thing with this, it's not only Paul Reed. Of course, Paul Reed stepped in when Jalen Duren and Isaiah Stewart both went out with their suspensions. Now with Duren back, we get him back on the bench. But the big thing is now is just showing the depth within this organization and looking farther through. Right now, we know the starting lineup. It's going to be this game after game going into the playoffs. But now the bench has an interesting question. You're looking at Jenkins, who has stepped in as one of the league's best backup point guards. Caris LeVert still here. Javonte Green has been outstanding. Ron Holland, one of the best defenders on this team behind Ausar Thompson, and has taken a step at a young age. Isaiah Stewart, and then Paul Reed. Kevin Huerter looking through the bench. Even Marcus Sasser, who's shooting incredibly on the season. This is why the Pistons have not only taken the top spot in the NBA, but in the entire NBA. This team has came out as number one. We can see them above the Boston Celtics, OKC, the Spurs, the Knicks, the Nuggets. This is the team that is 42-13, and it's on the backs of course, once again, the star players. But diving through, and I want to give a lot of these guys credits, with Jenkins stepping in, being a two-way contract, getting this converted into a one-way contract, what Jenkins has brought to the table. Looking at the ball handler coming off the bench, 84th percentile, rank 82 in the assist ratio. across the league. Net rating quite high at 85 and a defensive rating of 90%. Of course, the defense is the big factor on why this team is so good game after game. They're going out to lead the NBA in steals per game, with Ausar Thompson leading the NBA since January as well. Looking at the blocks per game, ranked number 1, assists at 10. This is the team that is bringing it on every aspect. Of course, three-point shooting could be higher, but what the Pistons are doing is benefited from what they have coming through on the bench. I mean, yes, the shooting doesn't look good, but even looking at Jenkins stepping into this team, getting his contract converted to a one-way, he has been a big part on why this team has been shooting so well. Looking from the left corner, 35%, 36 from the top, both below league average by a smidge, but looking from the other corner, 55.6%, mid-range, 39%. We know that's Cade's zone, but going into Janess Jenkins and what he has brought on the offensive end, it takes the pressure off Cade Cunningham, which allows him to go out and play in those big moments. And even diving into Paul Reed, for example, putting up the 7, 4.5, 1.5 at 63% from true shooting, 60 from the field, 37, which is just above league average across the NBA. Once again, another player that has taken the pressure off a lot of the guys within the starting lineup. You can see the rebound in the 71st percentile, true shooting 86, 93rd in field goal percentage. This is a player alone that is the best third string in the NBA. And I want to pose this question to you guys, but why for yes and for no? Do the Pistons have the best depth in the NBA? Because it feels obvious at this point that Paul Reed, who looks better than some backup centers, is currently the third string on this team. But I do want to give some credit, and another player that's set to make that jump, or at least hopefully takes the jump as that backup guard off the bench, is Kevin Huerter. Now, Kevin Huerter has not been shooting like we've seen in the past, 29 from above the break. We can see both corners at 37 and 33 respectively, but this is a player that at some point is going to take the next step. We know at moments that he hasn't got into the lineup because they wanted to implement him into this offense, but at the end of the day, looking through all this, what this team has done, what they have brought game after game, it's insane to even say that, of course, yes, the star talent is a huge part of it. Yes, this is a game versus the Bulls that lost 7 or 8 straight. I want to give a shout out to Jaden Ivey. It sucked that he didn't get to play, but this is a team that every single player is contributing. When you look at other teams around the NBA, a lot of benches have players that are maybe not performing or not going out to put up the numbers that fans are wanting, but the Pistons have, it feels like, 13 guys that step on the court every single night and make an impact, which is completely game-changing for them moving forward. But what's your guys' thoughts on this? I also want to give a shout out, it hurts to say because I am Canadian, that we did see Team USA win both gold medals with the women's and men's hockey during this today. What was your thoughts on the shout out to Connor Hellebuck, because that performance was mind-blowing. But let me know your guys' thoughts on the Olympics, on the Pistons, the rest of the NBA, everything down in the comments, because I love reading through them. But I've been your host, Mark Pye, and go Detroit Basketball.